Some of the most famous sports curses have been broken recently. You had the Red Sox. They ended the curse of the Bambino. They beat the Yankees. Cubs snapped the curse of the Billy Goat. They won the World Series. And we've seen guys do well being on the cover of Madden, or teams survive the Sports Illustrated cover jinx. But there's a string of bad luck that hasn't been broken in decades. The Chicago Bears can't quite figure out the quarterback position. And now reports are emerging. They're all in on trying to trade for Russell Wilson. The numbers are pretty startling. Wilson has 5 seasons with 30 touchdown passes or more. Chicago's never had a quarterback throw for 30 in a single season. You can understand why the Bears would mortgage their future. They're ready to win now. Wilson's agent listed Chicago as one of the 4 teams he would play for. The only fear might just be superstition. Could Russell Wilson be good enough in a Bears uniform? Chicago Bear fans certainly want to find out. Do I think it's a possibility? Well, yes, it's a possibility. Do I think it's reality? No, I don't. The reason why it's a possibility is because Russell Wilson's agent came out with 4 teams: Cowboys, Raiders, Saints, Bears. And if you were saying in descending order, which ones do you think are actually plausible? I would start with the Raiders. I would probably then put in the Bears, and then I would put in Dallas and the Saints. I mean, you still got to be able to pay for Russell Wilson. The Saints are, now they've cleared a lot of cap space, but salary cap purgatory. With what's going on with the Cowboys with Dak Prescott, feels like Dak Prescott is going to be their quarterback of the future, and Dak will have a no-trade clause in his contract. Pretty much guaranteed. So now, where are you sending Russell Wilson? What can you get for Russell Wilson? Because that's the mindset of Seattle right now. All right, we may not be on the same page. We may not like that he went public on this program a couple of weeks ago. We may not like that his agent put out 4 teams that he would go to if he were traded. But you still know he gives you the best chance of winning. And if you're Pete Carroll at age 69, he's not here for a rebuild. Pete's running that team. Pete answers to no one. And if Pete wants to get rid of Russell Wilson, they'll get rid of Russell Wilson. If you're saying, hey, let's make this trade with the Bears, they're offering us Khalil Mack. Now, this hasn't been offered, at least not to my knowledge. I was told 2 teams have made offers to Seattle, but those 2 teams are not on the list. One of the teams, a source close to one of those 2 teams said, we put together an offer, we just didn't hear back because they're not returning phone calls. It feels like Seattle wants to engage with other teams not on the list because those are the teams that aren't good. Those are the teams that will have higher draft picks. Because the Raiders are a potential playoff team, Dallas is a playoff team, Saints playoff team, and the Bears are a potential playoff team. Why would I trade with somebody? Now, they want him because they want to win now. But if I'm Seattle, I'm going, well, what am I getting? I don't want a 27th first-round draft pick. I want a 5th overall draft pick. That's why you look at the Jets. They have a lot to offer. There's probably 4 or 5 teams that have a whole lot to offer. The question is, what would Seattle take in return? You got the $39 million cap hit. And would Russ go to one of the places that aren't among his top 4? That's really going to be the key here as we move forward. What's going to happen in free agency with Seattle? Do they listen to Russell Wilson and say, we're going to get you some linemen here? Do they allow him to be involved in the offense? And do I think there's a disconnect between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, or Russell Wilson and the franchise? Absolutely. A source told us right after Russ came on the show, hey, this is a marriage that's not sustainable in its current form. And that garnered as much headlines or more headlines than what Russ was saying to me, because that felt like an impending divorce. We're separated right now, but we're going to get a divorce. And every quarterback, go down through history. How many stay with their original team? If Joe Montana can be nudged out the door, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Tom Brady, go down the list. Joe Namath, Johnny Unitas, Marino and Elway, they were able to stay. They're dinosaurs. Or Jim Kelly. But in today's game, it's different. You don't open up the scrapbook. It's not nostalgic. Hey, we're going to keep our quarterback. It's how do we get better? And I think if you look at Russell Wilson, he's not going to end his career there. Do I think he'll be there this year? Yes. After next season? No, I don't think so. Because it's easier to get out from underneath that salary cap hit with Russ. And he's going to be 33 if you're Seattle. Like, Seattle should get, if you want to trade Russ, do it now. Because I don't want Russell at 35. 33? Okay. Now you get to 35, a guy who uses his legs, a guy who's going to be sacked more than any other quarterback in the history of the sport. And now I'm getting him at 35. And Russ wants to play into his 40s. But Seattle strikes me as just play football. You don't need to be involved and be a brand, and just play football. And Russ is a brand. Russ and his wife are a brand. Also, if you have young children, as they do, you want to go now, not wait a couple years when your kids get into school, establish friends. That's also something that should be factored in here. But the 4 teams that are on the list haven't had correspondence with Seattle, from what I'm told. And that's from one of the teams, like, we don't hear. Nobody said anything. But I found out that there are 2 teams who have at least made an offer, the structure of an offer for Russ. But those are 2 teams that are not on his list, from what I'm told. I don't know the teams. They're not on, but they're not on the list. Yeah, Paul.
If you're Seattle, isn't the worst case scenario to keep Russell Wilson for another season and just lose him for nothing? And they know this. And they must think to themselves, like, he's going to bolt next year. We now have the green light to trade him. I know it's only to 4 teams.
But he doesn't get the bolt. He's not free to go. I just think that they'll find a way to trade him. So it's not like we're going to lose him and not get anything in return. He's still under contract. But I think that they'll be able to. They'll get less for him, it feels like.
That's what I mean. Like, from a PR standpoint, Russell and his people opened the door to trading him. And you could say, if you're the GM and Pete Carroll, hey, we had the feeling that this player did not want to be here as much as he wanted to in the past, and we accommodated him, and we're planning for the future, and we get a rookie quarterback, all that good stuff.
I just don't know what you're getting in return. I don't want Nick Foles, and I don't want Khalil Mack. You got to have a quarterback in this league. Now, if you said, hey, the Jets are willing to give us second pick, Quinnen Williams, 3 other first-round draft picks. Because you can even say, we don't want Sam Darnold because we want to take Zach Wilson. Now we got our quarterback on a rookie deal. And, Pete wants to continue to win. Now, it's not like he goes, hey, you know what, we can take a couple of years off here. But Russell Wilson doesn't want to go to the Jets. Look at the Dolphins. We'll give you Tua, the 3rd pick overall, 3 other first-round draft picks. Russ does not want to go to Miami. Yeah, McClellan.
And the Jets don't want Russell Wilson, do they, in that scenario? Because they're nowhere near winning, I would think. I mean, they've won 2 games last year.
If I'm the Jets, would not want Russell Wilson.
You'd want Zach Wilson because
yes,
of the reason you just said.
Yes, I would. I want the rookie contract. It's one of those where you start to look at this, and, I talk to enough people, or people, reach out and give me information. Like Sam Darnold could end up with San Francisco. Now, I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here with a little bit of inside information. Let's say Sam Darnold ended up in San Francisco. Let's say Jimmy Garoppolo ended up in New England. Let's say the Jets drafted Zach Wilson. Trevor Lawrence goes to Jacksonville. Is there a chance Deshaun Watson could be traded to Arizona in exchange for Kyler Murray and? Well, there could be, but the caveat is Kyler Murray could easily go, I ain't going. I'm going to go play baseball. And then the Texans miss out on their quarterback. But there's a lot of these hypotheticals because, as I remind you, there's wishful reporting. That's what Chicago is going through right now. That's all they're talking about in Chicago. What would it take to get Russell Wilson? Gosh, if we have Russell Wilson, are we a Super Bowl contender? I think because they were shocked that they were on the list, that's why you got to run with it. Like, wait, we're on the list. Okay, you're on the list. He likes their offensive line and for some reason likes Matt Nagy's play calling. Okay. But do I think he's going to the Bears? No. Do I think he's going to the Cowboys? No. Do I think he could go to the Raiders? Yes. Do I think he could go to the Saints? No. So, I'm Danny Downer here because nobody wants to hear that. Everybody wants to hear the possibility that Russ could end up with maybe their team. Yeah, Paul.
From the Saints standpoint, don't the Saints make the most sense? They're a good competitive team with a very good defense. They've got an opening at the quarterback position. They've got 3 other guys. One's probably retiring. One the fans don't believe in, and one's not a quarterback. They could trade 4 first-round draft picks, and those picks are all going to be like the 27th pick of the draft. I don't know if it's attractive from the Seattle standpoint, but from the Saints standpoint, I'm just saying, if I'm a Saints fan, I'm like, do whatever.
But Paulie, you're doing what everybody does.
That's what's going on.
And they go, hey, I'm a Saints fan. We could get Russ, and we only have to give up this and this and this. Instead of, if you're Seattle, and you go, what are we getting? Taysom Hill and 4 first-round picks that are going to be in the upper 20s.
If I'm Seattle, I want Zion and a franchise as well. I want to
you get Zion Williamson?
Yes.
So then we reopen up my Seattle NBA franchise and we get Zion Williamson.
Yes, and start it up nice.
Okay.